We are once again back for the third and final map of our first match of the night here in Split 3 of North American Challengers. Tenrek and Marks have gone through 2 maps of Trust and Plug and Blue Water, trading blows on stronger maps, but heading to the no man's land of Haven. It is really up in the air of who is going to move on to this winner's bracket and who will be in sudden death, Mark.
It's so interesting to me how this one could play out, because what we just saw on Sunset, well, Trust and Plug more or less just dismantled Blue Waters, and I really like the way that they were playing. I talked about this before we went to break, the utility usage, you know, setting up for all of these plays. Every single time they did one of those types of things, it felt like it was successful. No utility was really wasted. The flashes were perfectly coordinated with when they wanted to swing in. It looked really well, especially too building around that neon. On the other side of the coin, Blue Waters, it felt like the stuns, the flashes, they were coming out, but nothing was really being followed up upon, which looked very different from what we saw on map number 1, where on Ascent, like, everything felt so coordinated. They were so on top of it. It all looked really good. And so as we come to Haven, like you said, kind of the no man's land. I'm really curious, first of all, to see what compositions both these teams want to bring in. I know I'm expecting that we're going to see that Trust and Plug are going to be bringing in that Neon yet again. Neon first really making a debut as a duelist agent on Haven specifically. But on the other hand, it's very possible that we're going to see some Yoru coming in as well. So really, this could go any sorts of way, and I'm very curious to see what these teams want to do.
Yeah, well, Ascent is a place where, like we saw a lot of what Blue Water did playing, you know, using that util for space rather than kills first and then just getting the kills off of that space that they generated. On Sunset, Trust and Plug took the mentality of kill first, ask questions later. The great thing is on Haven, you can do a little bit of both of those. You can, it's a nice little mix of everything. And so I agree. I think we'll get a nice cocktail from both these teams of their very best walking into this third map. It will be Blue Waters starting on defense here. I think that's justified. I think Trust and Plug have certainly earned their attack half to start here.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And, you know, this is already kind of interesting. We're seeing, first of all, Chamber coming out for Trust and Plug. Mikey going on to the Chamber. It's been a while since I've seen the Frenchman sniper, but really curious to see how they're going to play around that, because by adding Chamber into your composition means that you're taking away the Cypher. And we talked about this before. This is the last patch Cypher, still an extremely good agent, but once again, Trust and Plug, kill first, ask questions later. Chamber fits right into that mentality.
First combo up the lane. Mikey, great coverage into the cubby. And the first one to dare to peek this push will get punished. Shondek's next victim on the table. Bob holding the link and can at least spray back to find Bao. But that smoke still permeating for a couple more seconds, giving Teague some free plant time, and Jerwin all the time in the world to take the link back up. Easily overtaken by Trust and Plug this first round.
And it just feels like Trust and Plug, when it comes to those duels, mostly winning them out. I think right now, if you are the Blue Otters, you have to be a little bit more proactive in setting up these traps, you know, making it a little bit more difficult for them to execute, because we saw as soon as Trust and Plug moved up there was a little bit of difficulty, but overall it was a pretty easy just walk in, take the site, get the spike down, and then just set up and get ready for Blue Waters to push in. Looks like Blue Waters will be stacking the C site this time, expecting a little bit more pushing as Trust and Plug, they leave that spike behind. Once again, frag focus. Let's see if we can get some ultimate orbs is probably what they're more interested in as they back off now and take space other parts of this map.
And just play this field while Mikey continues to hold that angle that he did so proficiently last time. Praying that this stack shows its hand a little early. Nothing doing just yet, though. So we will have to use the owl drone early. Shame. Bob's ducking back into C site, and it's the right gamble. It's Garage that's checked into the B link where Welly's standing. Though that might be enough to guarantee that this is where the stack is held. Doesn't matter. Bobsta reinvests and collects. It's got to be the push now or never. We've got to just collapse on this. In Blue Water, they feel the exact same way. A flurry of blows that leaves Mikey standing on top of him with this outlaw in tow. Just one more to go, and that's enough time to reload everything, get everything reset, and well, he only an owl drone to be able to maybe just get like half the sight back, if that, but
30 seconds left.
this looks really tough. Plug still taking care, though. Faking the plant, double-checking this just as Mikey gets in position. One outlaw shot down. Well, you gotta dodge one more, I fear. Double back as Bonbao TPs away, and lane is taken. This is when it should become quite a certainty. Recon dart available, though, to make sure that cubby and or main lobby is cleared.
There they are.
The one-way smoke makes it nigh impossible. It's got to be fights first, and Mikey has the better gun. One that can get that one shot and guarantee that second round for Trust and Plug.
And that was such an interesting slow play coming in from Mikey. We saw originally when Trust and Plug swarmed out C, you know, they took that ultimate orb and then immediately backed off there, leaving Mikey alone watching C long. And as they started to execute into Garage, as they started to get that more information, Mikey slowly creeps up, not really matching the pace of the rest of the members, but still taking an appropriate amount of space. Once again, setting up for an excellent off angle to be able to just take pot shots with that sniper rifle in hand. Bob getting proactive yet again, might just walk into, all the enemies, but spray through on the smoke, nothing really found.
Not just yet. So they'll try to bum rush the other way, just to force some intel to reveal itself. And it'll work to a degree, but Blue Water really get to play non-committal with this until the spike is already down. And in the meantime, Mikey's the only one good for anything. Blue Water, they'll deal with the entire site before they even step foot in it. Jeez. Okay, guys. Monsi, let's see how much work you can do here, bud. Nothing. Darn.
Thanks.
It's tough. What we expected, though. While we're here in the middling of the bonus round, should be said that our alternative match on the bracket, SAD Esports versus Rose, is now going to map 3 as well, as SAD Esports got a 13-0 victory over Rose on map 2 of Pearl. So they're heading to split now. Yeah, it was pretty wild to be watching the back while we were waiting for this next game to start. So, also up in the air who the victor of this will be going up against in the follow-up match that'll be right here on Valorant North America. As Trust and Plug, their attack looks decent, but Blue's strike back looks quite strong.
And I'm wondering whether or not Blue Water are going to be aggressive again, especially with that smoke and the relay bolts that kind of go out there. They are setting up for this crossfire, expecting them to move out of A. At least holding this long angle here should deter any of the members from Trust and Plug to move forward. A lot invested here. Hunter's Fury as well.
Almost immediately. Very aggressive. Welly using it to just field out the main lanes so that Plug cannot get the early drop down again. They'll just, again, play the long game. It'll allow Blue Water to generate some real pressure. A very greedy smoke that Plug is forced to respect here. And that's so much real estate just gone. Has to be re-cleared. Mikey with the tour de force can get rid of the lurker in Zostal, but not kill. Both teams still standing, 35 seconds to go, and a lobby now cleared back up. Plug see it as the perfect opportunity to exec. Still at least this smoker on. No! They'll try to clear the board away and double back to C before Blue Water makes it back there. Ingenious strat, just laddering communication, a game of telephone being played between Blue Otter players that will leave only 2 on Link site. It's once again gotta be given over to the team, but Zeke isn't having any of that. Wants to get greedy, completely punished, and Jerwin now holding early on the logs. Bob swings in, slides through, now good for 2, and pops the ult for good measure. Bow staked in the smoke, good to stop Bob, great discipline for the hold. And Mikey on the off angle from Garage instead of ducking back to lane. But Welly's already taken care of Bao from the log push, and now they're able to inch their way forward here. Though inching is the most dangerous thing you can do. One shot missed on the tour de force, though. And Blue Otter breathe a sigh of relief as they'll take their second round.
Wow. Okay, if you're the Blue Waters there, I mean, first of all, excellent job getting yourself back into this one. Honestly, Trust and Plug, that was a bit of a bold strategy. I thought that what they were doing was pretty smart. You know, you see those smokes, like you said, playing a little bit greedy on those smokes. And so, hey, let's just wait this out. Now that Omen won't be able to smoke off any of these sites. And as soon as they kind of fake that presence onto A, they immediately backtrack and go to C, flushing all of the blue otters over to that A site. But it gives the otters enough time to realize their mistake, go in, and then they just start to capitalize on some of those kills. Trust and Plug didn't feel like they had as much time as they wanted to get themselves set up on that post plant. And so they just get run over one at a time. Excellent job from Bob being able to recover back into this. Zostal up top, though, could pose a problem for this attack.
Not able to find anything, though, on that entry. Other than just some damage on a Jerwin, who is still kicking, which means he can still kill. How about one more? Nah. That's a little bit of wishful thinking here. Now it's Teague who will take the brunt of the damage, and that'll be easily finished off by Zeke. Flush, Blue Otter will beat Plug to the chase here and take over C-Site before Spike's even down, and they'll lead with it.
And this is something I'm watching on this one. I talked about how Trust and Plug, their utility was very focused on like getting the stuns in the right areas, you know, doing the flashes at the right times, all of that type of stuff to really push in and capitalize on that to be able to find those kills. What we're seeing Blue Otters do is stop the momentum that Trust and Plug were going with. The utility that's coming out is very responsive, very, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. You can't just go in as easily as you expect. And it's really causing Trust and Plug to slow down a second, get all stunned up, not too sure what's going on anymore. And then it's in that confusion where things start to fall apart a little bit that the Blue Waters set up their crossfires excellently and then can just move in and flush the rest of Trust and Plug out. And so Trust and Plug, understanding what this means, they call a timeout, because these last couple of rounds have been very decisive by the Blue Otters. Curious to know what they're talking about as they move into this next one. Jerwin does have that overdrive ready. Monsi and Teague also one ultimate orb away from getting the Hunter's Fury as well as the Rolling Thunder. And then they could be cooking.
That goes there. Yes, this should do.
Yeah, I get a lot of options to collapse off of here. As Plug, this is really the moment to let Haven be your canvas. Of course, Blue Otter did choose to start on this half. So what have they got up their sleeves when the tables turn? Is there anything at all?
It's going to be a good question. Look at this, because of that defensive smoke. This time, so much utility is being drawn out from Trust and Plug just to clear so much of the space. And Blue Waters force all of that out with a single defensive smoke. Yeah, sure, you get rid of that trap wire there. But all things considered, Trust and Plug, a lot of their utility that they would normally use to engage is kind of just stopped. And that really slows the pace down quite a bit.
Flash out and field away Bob, who will re-peek.
Scanning ahead.
Only for one. Is that enough for Blue Water to make the call to infiltrate the site? No, but it's enough for Plug to do the same. Blue Water electing to play that lead back, except for Shondex, who is already in just as the mid plant goes down. That'll force out Teague's fault. And now a Rolling Thunder as well from Teague to just try to cement this. Zoe on the way back, though, as Mikey's lurk is finally caught. And now we can deal with the real problem on site, the 3v2, where Teague is seeing a crumb of health. But the Heaven play, oh no, it's not going to be a crunch. Teague will try and get ahead of it and get instantly punished. Bao sits alone, and Zostal's already on the dang spike. Nice spray to get to the right target, but they still got time on that.
It's like you hear the spike go and then Bao immediately flicks over just as the other two are going through. And so Welly's able to find it, and you can tell that the bullet was actually meant for Welly because the bullet fires halfway through the flick. Little bit of miscommunication going on in Trust and Plug. They try it anyways. They're at least able to take Bob out early, but all things considered, the Blue Waters, they're doing a good job at keeping Mikey in check. That round, that flank could have been absolutely dangerous. Thanks to the neural theft being online, gives that positioning away, and you see that Shondex is the one who flanks the flanker. Nice easy round coming out from the Blue Otters. As, well, here we go again. It's going to be overdrive activated as Plug move in.
And very quickly, the CP after the fact as well, just to doubly confirm that space for anybody who was already on it. Force their attention to be swayed. It's enough to guarantee an A site and potentially a round with it. We'll see how much Blue Water wants to invest in this. It'll start with a Hunter's Fury from Monsi just to stall, and it'll be aggressive enough to catch Bob up Link. That's a big separation to Blue Water this early into the post plant. Any more moves here could be enough to force them to save. And that might do it on that opening contest. What? Okay, Jerwin. Zeke is unfortunately not exactly able to leave here, so Jerwin will grab his third. And Blue Otter, the streak will now end. But again, it took those two ults to guarantee that site. That being said, it's not like Blue Water have been exactly fighting for a site early on in rounds, so that's easily replicable for TIP.
Yeah, I mean, Trust and Plug, sure, you talk about those two ultimates being used in that one, and yeah, it was an expensive round for them, all things considered. However, it worked out well. They use, like, I thought that Hunter's Fury came out early, but it was actually perfect. It was a zoning ultimate, got value, found a kill, but also pushed them back, and then we see the Aftershock immediately invested, giving Trust and Plug just a bit more time to set themselves up. And that preparation turned out to be key against the engagement in the Blue Otters. Blue Otters were simply not expecting that. But this time around, Bob going aggressive outside of C to get all that information, so the Blue Otters are aware this could be an A side to be a hit.
Yeah, they could easily sway this once they've garnered enough attention, and they've already started the step. Bob on the early hold here in C long. But with the trademark already placed here, there's no doubt that it's... Oh, wow. That smoke is gorgeous from Zostal. Doesn't give itself away, but also completely enshrouds that trademark. That was beautiful.
And on top of that, too, that gave up the spike's location. And so you can see immediately a little bit of a retreat happening on the Blue Water side on that A site, just to make sure that they can float around just a little bit easier, because they were very deep on that. And now that this trapwire is going to get shot out, Bob should be able to at least get one shot off here, off that info, and then has to go.
And we jump. Bob is taken care of. But there's only 3 on the way to site right now. Not too much strength behind it. Early rolling thunder here from Zeke.
10 seconds.
And Von Bao is still unchecked. So there goes that breach, and now we have to double check it every single time. Welly will quickly shut that fight down and luckily not lose too much health along the way. Ooh. But Plugger's still here, still on site and ready to fight. Save for Mikey, who gets early taken down by Zostal. Now the triple swing, very, very strong. And Blue Otter will re-clear and take their 5th round.
It seems like we're just seeing zoning ult after zoning ult, because I also agree. I think that was a little bit early on that rolling thunder, but it was perfect, because what ended up happening is it slowed down the plant. And because it slowed down the plant, you could see that Trust and Plug didn't get the chance to really get themselves into the proper positioning of it. As soon as the spike goes down, the Blue Otters execute. It's these couple seconds that they are being bought that's allowing them to really just take over so much more space. And honestly, it's that overwhelming factor that's allowed the Otters to continue to win these defensive rounds. We're getting close to that half now, 4 rounds away. Could go either way, but Trust and Plug have yet another buy on this one. Welly, though, the Hunter's Fury, that's an important first kill from Mikey, shutting down Bob, and that's the operator dropped.
Ballsy as hell. And well punished. And Plug now the ones that get to play a little more static. To see if someone else from BO wants to chop at the bit to attempt to equalize. Nothing of the sort just yet. Blue's still quite stacked towards that B site push, if that's where Plug end up swiveling. So ultimately, if Blue tries to rotate this proactively, then Plug will just punish, but if they don't, then Plug have free sight. So really tough restriction going on here. So still attempting to kind of
timing.
Flip-flop on this peak swing, but it's just so poorly timed. And now we're in, now we're spotted, now we're dead. This should be an easy lock for Trust in Plug, just so beautifully timed.
30 seconds left.
And rather than do what Blue Water did, which like you said is play that zoning and then get greedy enough to force Plug to kind of wait for these potential options that they've been handed, like having to fight on site before the spike gets fully planted or having to watch for this lurk watch. Instead, it's Trust in Plug who forced Blue Water to not press the issue, but get pressed because of how much they have to stand still.
Take this!
Their forced inaction leads to the snowball that will get Plug to 4 here with no drop down prevalent from Blue. Indeed, this will be a save.
Yeah, at this point, you just got to save. I mean, even the fault line coming out, that's indicative of what's going to happen, but Jerwin not going to really let them carry that extra rifle through. And honestly, this round came down to a single smoke. And that was Zostel's smoke just outside of that A site, which previously I complimented because it drew out so much utility from Trust and Plug. But this time, it served as a false hope that, oh, hey, I threw the smoke down, nobody's through at this point, so I can continue to hold it down. While meanwhile, Trust and Plug, they had 3 members already walking down a long.
That goes there.
And on top of that, too, the gun barrel comes out. A little bit of unfortunate timing. So Zostel thinking that it's so safe, and then Trust and Plug strike. And they come in swinging. So you have to be careful playing around that smoke. If we see it again, you can't just assume that it is free just because you don't hear those footsteps. If they thought it was free, but it wasn't, and Bob already stunned up, but Welly finding a very important kill as Jerwin goes down first. Bob able to retreat.
And preparing for a potential complete rotation here. But Plug remaining on the lane. Still all the util in the book here. And with the smokes placed, they will waltz onto this A site. So ultimately, the one thing that changes for Blue Water here is the man advantage. Is the ability to retake. They see it here and now. Especially with Hunter's Fury onto such an easy target in Teague. Sacrificial Lamb on default plant spot. Now a 5v3. This looks beyond doable. Hop into Link first. Drone to guarantee the positions, and we'll swing accordingly. But pretty quickly shot out by Monsi. So that corner spot, which is now occupied by at least 1 player, 2 for a moment, is now dangerous again. And Monsi is such a danger. 3 for Trusted Plug's favor, but Shondex loops right back around and will take Blue Water right back out of panic mode, giving them a 6-4 lead.
I mean, at that point, if you're Blue Waters, you were probably sweating just a little bit more on that. Not really expecting Monty to be playing so close to that smoke, able to find 3 kills so easily. Thankfully, Shondex stepping out from behind, the flank going completely unchecked thanks to the lack of utility. And just completely shuts down the hopes and dreams of Trust in Plug. It was already a rambunctious round that they shouldn't have been able to win, but they just got that glimmer of hope only to get it smacked out of their hands. 2 more rounds left. Blue Waters still looking really good. See that classic defense being set up here. The smoke being so proactive allows that Silva really to just get that dart for free. And Trust and Plug this time, being so aware of it, are going for more of a faster push up onto A, at least to draw out some utility, or at least fake it. But we know that they usually decide to push elsewhere. Mikey getting spotting out as well will give them an idea as to where this operator is, and thus where to avoid. Looks like we might be going in for yet another garage push, as Mikey slowly moves up like we saw so many rounds ago.
Catching that tripwire as the smoke didn't fully cover it. But Zoe very confidently just sitting on top of it as Garage is pressured But Fault Line to keep Zoe from getting that extra attention. Now the Rolling Thunder to attempt to guarantee, but everyone from Blue Water's already backed up. Trust and Plug, they'll have to make it work off of what they've got, and Zoe still concussed, I do believe, able to grab the first, and now he and Zeke are just gonna go insane on the lineups. Muncie, though, is snaked through Garage and is good for 3 before Bob silences him again. And it's just these moments where members of Trust and Plug slip through the cracks, and every single one of them is beyond dangerous. But Blue Water, luckily, they once again have enough to shut it down and go to 7.
It's so crazy to me how when Blue Water are just like, okay, we're going to play retake now. Let's move in. It's so decisive. They immediately find a multi-kill. And yet Trust and Plug, like you said, one member sneaks in through the back line and then just has free reign over all of them, and you can tell that it's a bit of a panic. Not exactly how you want those rounds to go, but Blue Water on these retakes have been looking really good against Trust and Plug. Now, as we go to this timeout, Blue Otter are the ones who are going to be calling it. This is the last round in this half. With how this defense has been going, I like the reads that the Otters have been doing, trying to understand how Plug have been playing and patching up those holes appropriately. We didn't get to see any of those shenanigans, and even the Rolling Thunder from T comes out, which is a huge ultimate to pull out of Trust in a Plug. Monty does still have that Hunter's Fury, and Gerwin as well with the Overdrive online. If there's a round that you want to be rambunctious, one to take it and just kind of run with it, this is going to be the one, especially considering the buy that Trust and Plug are bringing into this one.
Yeah. You can do a million different things, a million different ways. Start the round really whenever you want. Exec wherever you want. The world is your oyster here in round 12 if you're Trust and Plug. But if you're a Trust and Plug fan, you're holding your breath for that 8-4 scoreline anyway. Big recon dart that gives Welly an opening sight, but guess what? The Neon's already through. Hunter's Fury to pile on top of it, and Welly's got to avoid that until the Neon comes in to give him the real pain. Not even using the Overdrive for that kill, and in fact, Mikey will be the one to get the credit, but Plug will blast onto site and have a 3v2 on the post plant, with Bob still forced to hold this operator as the Owl drove a confirmer position. Should be all she wrote from here. Run, run! And reposition to where Zoe's at, on top of this spike and the smoke.
Spike planted.
Trying to corner one at a time, but Plug have all the sight lines pretty much covered. There's not much time for Blue to approach this, especially with the smoke still timed out. Zoe gets ahead, and Mikey ascends to grab a 5th for Trust in Plug. It was indeed enough, Marks.
Yep. I feel like the Trust and Plug rounds where they were able to actually execute properly on their attack outside of the earlier rounds were really relying on those ultimates. And we talked about this earlier where it's like, yeah, it's good, but they're still very proactive with those ultimates. And I think that that was one of the ways that they were able to flood in onto the site and get themselves set up. I will say, though, kind of criminal that Zeke was alive throughout all of that on the actual site as they just flooded in. It was so fast that they didn't do their due diligence of checking all of those corners, which has really given the Otters their opportunity to try and pull apart the Trust and Plug's attack. Now that we're swapping over onto the defense, the Blue Otters all going to be potentially peeking window here. Oh my goodness me. Gerwin just on the other side.
Oh my god, alternate angles are crazy, dude. Gerwin gets unpunished for 3, and Shondex is all of a sudden by themselves.
Camera taken out.
Early watch here from Mikey, early watch here from Bao. And that was a fun pistol round. I'd love to dissect that, but oh, we just don't have time. Oh man, the next round's already about to start.
Oh no!
I mean, I could totally go in depth into color on that, and I could talk about every single player's intention there, but I won't. I'm making the active choice not to.
That's why I'm here. I got you. And I'm pretty sure that was just the Resident Evil 4 shooting range. Because they all just walked out. 4 members go for the peak, and it was a combination of Gerwin and Mikey just taking pot shots there. And sure, they do inevitably die, but still, the Blue Waters, they just lined themselves up, and so the round was over as quickly as it started. Now Trust and Plug on this defense. It's a little bit faster, but already the first couple of kills go, and who else but Val with the Bucky?
Yeah. Just poking and prodding, it goes unpunished. You can wall bang half of this entire map So pretty easy for Plug to get that opening damage, especially with the guns that they're opting to choose this round. Oh, what are we? Okay. All right. That was a fun little game of follow the leader for a second.
You gotta chase him down. You never know. You know, the game's not over till the game's
That's
over.
so true, yeah. Zoe really had a shot there.
Yeah. This is an interesting move by Blue Waters that time. Just let's try and run as fast as we can. And to be fair, you can tell that Trust and Plug were not expecting that level of aggression.
No.
And
not whatsoever.
nope. But
That's why they shot into it so much. They got like 150 damage before they got even looked at, and they took one shot and they got killed. They were like, huh? I did that much damage before they even talked to me?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And so obviously the weapon diff makes a big difference on that last round. But moving into this one, this is where we get to see the Otters really show what they've got. Rifles in hand. I'm wondering whether or not we're going to be seeing that very slow style. Try and get the Trust and Plug members to move up and then play for this trap play. But wow, that's a headshot right off the bat. And Mikey also is able to escape as well alive. Shondex trying to take space as you would want for your Cypher, but you shouldn't be having your Cypher be the tip of the spear. You want that Neon in place. Fault line is ready to go for Zeke though. This one still could happen.
Early checks on the B exit.
Oh,
Members here, but yeah, their util is like few and far between this round, so it's a little bit tougher to spread yourself thin. Teague is still skating this though, and is good to grab 2, meaning that it is a 2v2 now.
oh.
Zoe does catch Mike on the run back though. Teague, good counteraction.
Spike planted.
So does this bonus go the way of Plug after all? As Teague has an aftershock in hand and is 10 away from this fault line. Zeke has a blind and probably not as close to it, but Zeke has the peak and the bonus is stolen away from Plug.
That rhymes pretty nicely, huh?
That is nice, isn't it?
But not how you wanted that round to go, if I'm being honest.
No.
Especially too, like you see the flood go in onto the site. Like you talked about, the utility's a little bit discombobulated, but it's in that moment of chaos that we see Trust and Plug find their kills. As a result, it's not great coming in from Blue Otter on this round. We're seeing actually Mikey go for the Outlaw again. Just trying to pick off those members who don't really have full shields. It's Neon v Neon. Dream was able to get one, but immediately traded back.
I know exactly where you are.
Another weird fight taken by Neons, but with one no longer still standing, the retake game looks a lot more unlikely, which is why Plug are staking out A site far heavier than before. It does not work out very well. Attack looking beyond solid so far from Blue Otters. Their exec game looking pretty clean, and Plug, they'll be forced to save these 2 rifles with how shoddy their eco looks.
And then moving into the next one, now Bob also has the overdrive online. And yeah, I mean, we saw Trust and Plug, they went for it, but at the same time, Blue Otters, they had enough money to really buy up a majority of their rifles. And I think that's something that Trust and Plug was not really expecting. We're seeing these attacks be a little bit more aggressive, and I like this style from the Blue Otters. When they really just want to hard commit onto one of these sites, it feels very well rehearsed, I guess is the best word, as long as they're the ones who feel like they're in control of how it's going. As soon as a wrench gets kind of thrown in from Trust and Plug, that's when you start to see that foundation from the Blue Waters start to be a little bit more shaky, and that's when you have those kind of close call moments. But the Blue Waters still win another round, still leading by 2 rounds here. As a Trust and Plug, the buy is going to be scattered at best because of those 2 phantoms that got brought over.
Yeah, that's all that you can really carry into this. But like you said, it could be enough to stop a team that isn't able to fluidly call as well as they would like to be able to on a map like Haven, which is arguably the hardest map to fluid call.
Cage trigger.
Okay, a little bit more of a default.
Yeah, much more of a
from the
default.
Otters.
Much more. They don't want to get sprayed early on by some stupid BS guns. They want to see if
Learn
there's
their
an early
lesson.
peek from Plug, which there could be. Jerwin is not going to be the one early holding, but Mikey could easily step out into this with a headhunter, and they might just be waiting for that.
Yeah, look at that. I mean,
He's just watching lane.
at a moment's notice, Z could just kind of pop the fault line. And at the same time, like, Trust and Plug, they're like, listen, we know what kind of goes on here. We don't really want to push into you. And so everybody on both sides stand their ground. Finally, some momentum being picked up by the Otters. What I'm worried about, though, is it's Bon Bao tucked into that corner. And we know how much of an impact Bao has had on some of these rounds. Previously on Sunset, completely shutting it down, but this Owl Drone should be able to flush that out. Yeah, Shadow Step will make sure that that doesn't get caught.
Here we go.
Easily able to field this, so Bob is just going to pop this overdrive, but yeah,
no.
Bao unchecked, beautifully punished. Zo can pretty quickly shut that down. Jerwin only has a shotgun. That's too far for you this time, buddy. Sorry about that. And the inherent weaknesses of this round for Trust and Plug are starting to reveal themselves, namely, guns kind of suck. So Blue Water, they'll confidently take that space, confidently take the fight, confidently take the round, 10-7.
Yeah, and you can see there was a little bit of a feels bad moment there from Jerwin. You know, shotgun in hand, slide it across the ground, just like, even if I pull the trigger, I'm not going to be able to get close enough to make this a kill, and then just gets headshotted mid-slide. Kind of hate to see it happen, but that's the gamble you play sometimes with the shotgun. So Trust and Plug It now are going to be calling this timeout. The Blue Waters have really picked up their momentum on these last couple of rounds. The executes have looked fairly textbook, and it's working out well. There's a reason why they are textbook. And quite frankly, I think this is probably because Mikey is on that chamber. They're missing a lot of control, specifically because of those Cypher cyber cages, specifically because of those trap wires. Trust and Plug, they don't feel like they have a really good defensive hold of any of these maps. They have to wait for the Blue Waters to push into them and then try and get them. But usually if you're the attacking team, you're going to line up your utility to make sure to stun them. The fault line, the flashes, the paranoia. It's looking really good from the Otters, and Trust and Plug, they just don't have the utility really to foil any of the attacks.
I absolutely agree with that. The intention of this chamber is to kind of stunt pushes and force you to continue rechecking as you go and burn more util until you peek into a sniper that's going to diff you. The problem is, in this meta, it's better to have an agent that can do that en masse across the entire map. And right now, both Neon and Yoru do that far better. We're seeing Jerwin do it almost every round anyway. So Mikey has been very restricted and held back by this agent. I agree. Von Bout held back by all of that util thrown in from the garage crunch that is once again on C site. Fatigue still unchecked. This Blue Water squad is brave and brazen, but they'll make it work regardless by invading the link. It's messy, but it's still advantageous towards Blue Water, who will finally get this spike down and now re-extend into this link push where they have a good feeling Mikey still is.
Teleport's ready.
Yeah, there you go. Totally checked, totally read. And that round was just off the back of Zostal, who... This was a little bit interesting because you could tell Trust and Plug, they were holding back, let that spike go down. Sure, we yield the site. You know what happens. Let's get ready for the reset. And then Zostal just very brazenly walks into the smoke and immediately just catches them off guard, goes for a little bit of a spray, finds so many kills. Monty almost ties that one back, as Monty has been doing this map quite a few times. But unfortunately, it's just a little bit too late. The Blue Waters, they get all those kills for free. Rest and Trust and Plug are not really set up to really do anything else about it. And now it's just yet another fast execute here. Bob, slow down for a second. The fast lane used.
Oh, woo, okay. Bob's warm now on this Neon. Feeling herself a little bit with those opening two frags, which single-handedly, honestly, might be enough to make Trust and Plug safe until 12. This is, that's holy, dude. This character is nuts. Oh my god. Like, I get you had a whole team behind you, but that is nuts to do that in like 10 seconds and just have Trust and Plug say, better luck next time.
I mean, it almost felt like that was some of the executes that we saw on Sunset, what Trust and Plug were doing. It was just very rehearsed and very well executed. Shondex able to trade back Mikey drops that rifle, and so yeah, Trust and Plug, they really have to make sure to hold on to those rifles, but it was just a very clean execute coming through. Blue Waters going for the fast attack is something that I'm really enjoying seeing, and I hope they continue to do that because I think that it could really seal out this series as they are on match point right now.
Match point.
And with several ults in the bank to tie them over if they lose, or boost them to winners finals here in the group.
That goes there.
Now, how do you start this? Because you can't exactly exec with the same speed that you did last time, but this Garage Crunch looks pretty faithful, so it looks like they'll stick with that.
Yeah.
That's why Mikey's finally set up over here, dude.
But like, how much value is Mikey going to be able to get? As long as they shoot that out, it should be all right. Mikey now looking with it. Okay, that's the value needed.
And I'll hop right back to Link. Those tiny walls, able to kind of weave in between chokes.
Off your feet!
And now he'll look for another one. Rolling Thunder allows the approach into Garage, spots the rendezvous, knows at least one of these players has to be nearby. Will make the call for Welly to go for the Hunter's Fury post plant now. And spots Sherwin up Link as well. Wanted to poke him, but that's a little greedy, and it'll allow Mikey to poke back in and grab Shondex. Now the re-up up the garage window. Mikey now good for 3, and a Rolling Thunder back into sight to give Plug enough time to make this work. But Zeke not checked on the lurk, and now the wraparound might be all that Blue Water need. The blind back as Mikey presses. Another blind, Teague playing the distance. They can't spray through onto Spike, and Trust and Plug will get away with an 8th round.
Wow, I mean, okay, you know what? Maybe the chamber does work, but the chamber is so focused on being able to get those kills. You have to get kills in order to make chamber worth it, and that is what we saw Mikey do on that last round. It felt like Mikey was like the last person consistently going in on to C, and was just like, okay, I guess I'll 1v3 or 4 now, and usually it not working out at all. But as soon as Mikey finds a couple more frags, shuts down Bob, uses the chamber utility to its full potential, Blue Waters are left absolutely scrambling. Excellent stuff coming out from there, but this time around it's a different side that they are going to be pressuring early on. I don't think that they commit though. I think they just want to try and force out the utility and pull players away from the rest of the map to make it a little bit easier for them to move in afterwards.
Agreed. See that extension from Shondex first. We see this garage lurk all the time, just to make sure nobody gets insane on that peek back to window. But it does also precursor a lot of the time those B window pushes. So we'll be watching for where this Spike is headed right now, still in the court. But Welly playing with time well here, as it looks like they'll just default their way to an opening frag again here. But with Plug so packed in and still playing behind structure, doesn't look likely that they'll hand anything over. Of course, being so packed in and being so unwilling to play for anything means you can't play for everything. And that'll leave an open A site that Blue Water can walk onto safe and sound. They will certainly make noise to clear it, that's for sure, but is it enough to
30 seconds left.
pierce through Plug's attention span? Doesn't look like it. Okay, there's the Link Watch. We're heading back, but I think it's far too late. I think Blue has this.
Yeah, I mean,
at least the site.
They will be able to get the spike down, and Zoe still watching with the operator makes it so much more difficult for them to move in. Paranoia is still available, by the way, Tenrek.
Yeah, can play that so late into this now. 2 members of Trust and Plug hopping up to heaven. It's Teague to once again give that booster seat to Jerwin as he'll hop out of the smoke. All or nothing here for Trust and Plug, and it'll be the first of many times. Instant stopper from Zoe and Welly, and from there, it's an absolute collapse. Blue Water, their attack half is once again beyond deadly, and it'll lead them to a 13-8 victory, a 2-1 victory, and a winner's finals berth that we'll get to watch in just a moment.
Man, it's so crazy to me just how different this Blue Water team looked. I mean, we saw them get absolutely dismantled on Sunset with a very similar composition. And then as soon as they go on to Haven, specifically on that attack, it was looking so much easier for them. A lot of the complaints that I had, it felt like they were addressing them between that map 2 to map 3. And so the Blue Waters are able to take away this victory. And quite frankly, I'm curious to see how this goes, because once again, Tenrek, I said this before, but it's continuing that narrative where these Challengers teams from previous splits are not winning their matchups. Blue Waters is a new team in here. Trust and Plug was Blinn Esports, and now Trust and Plug down to the bottom, potentially facing Sad as how things are going down on that game right now.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of have to see how this one goes. Big congratulations to Blue Water. They're going to be in the winners finals.
Yeah, one more match that they need to win to get to these playoffs, to get that guaranteed piece of the prize pool. And as you put so well, Rose is putting up one hell of a fight against Sad Esports in the secondary match. The victor of that will be playing Blue Water on this main stream in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.